Hey Brad, how's it going? Hey Brad, how's it going? Brad. Come on, Brad. Brad? Brad?
He shoots. He scores.
You're listening to The Neutral Zone with Brad and Mark. Coming at you from the land of the free.
What's happening, guys? What's happening? I don't know. We seem to be having some technical difficulties or something today. Brad, his mic isn't working. I don't know. Okay, I'm lying actually. I'll fill you guys in. What's happened here is Brad got a call from the Carolina Hurricanes. The Carolina Hurricanes are in search of another Justin Williams, and Brad just so happens to have a beard that kind of resembles Justin Williams. So he's gone down to try out for the Carolina Hurricanes and try to help improve their chances against the Boston Bruins. If you guys might happen to hear something in the background right now, I'm actually joined by some wonderful guests today as Brad takes a leave of absence because he has some very important matters to attend to. So, I'm winging it by myself tonight, but as I said, I have some very important guests here today. I have my beautiful wife, Karen, who's joining me. Say hello, Karen, please.
Hello.
Now, she's attending to the other guests that we might have on the show tonight. That's my kids, who you may or may not hear because I have a baby monitor set up in the room here. I also have 2 dogs in the room who aren't usually here. So we have several guests that are going to join us tonight as we talk about what has been going on in the NHL Playoffs so far. Last time we joined in with you guys was last week, and we are just settling in the middle of the second round, where had we been talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Boston Bruins series, which seems to have been over forever already, I know. But we are just settling in there. The series was 3-2, so we're going to the Game 6, where we all know that the Boston Bruins trampled the Columbus Blue Jackets. We also had the Sharks and the Avs, who I think were in game 5 or 6 or something like that as well. Anyways, they go to a game 7, so we'll talk about that today as well. And then we also had the St. Louis Blues and the Dallas Stars, who went to a game 7 as well. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that. And periodically, my wife may or may not decide to tune or chime in about what I'm talking about. And she's not even here right now, but when she comes back, I might ask her to say something, if she does. So, let's start off with talking about the Boston Bruins and what they did against the Columbus Blue Jackets. To me, I'm not a Boston Bruins fan, okay? But I do give them credit because they are a very good hockey team, okay? So, as a fan, no, because I'm not a Marchand fan, okay? I don't like his antics. But as a hockey fan, right, as a hockey lover, they're a great team, and I would love Marchand to play on my team. Whether you agree with that or not, that's up to you to decide, because he is a love-or-hate guy. But I tell you what, hockey fans out there, if Brad Marchand was on your team would be better, no doubt about it. So you give him one season in any jersey, and I guarantee you, if that's your team, you will be a fan. Now, that being said, the Boston Bruins played one heck of a series. They managed to come out of a Game 7 against the Toronto Maple Leafs and play one night later in a Game 1 against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who had swept the Tampa Bay Lightning and had been sitting already for almost 2 weeks, or a week and a half or so, and were very fresh. And the Boston Bruins came into that game and they won. They won the first game, which should have been a sign for everybody, for what was to come out of that series, which was an inevitable Boston win. Everybody has said that to beat Boston, you need speed. But Toronto Maple Leafs had speed. Columbus Blue Jackets had speed. But the Boston Bruins found a way to beat that speed that everyone thought was their kryptonite and take them out. Now, Boston Bruins are going up against the Carolina Hurricanes, who managed to sweep the New York Islanders. And now that we're talking right now, Boston is already up 2-0 in the series. Carolina was supposed to bring speed. So I am not surprised at the outcome of that series at all yet. Now, it's been a very busy week, and I haven't been able to watch as much of those games as I would like to at this time of year. So I've watched some highlight reels and whatnot to try to help me with this. But I'm not surprised at all that the fact that Boston Bruins are up in that series right now against Carolina, which brings speed. And yes, they do have grit, okay? They have Justin Williams, who is Mr. Game 7, 6'5'4". He's an amazing player. Is Brad down in Carolina right now trying out for the Carolina Hurricanes? I would be very disappointed if Brad lied to me and didn't tell me he's there, because that would be incredible. And he's got to work on his line skills then. But no, what the Carolina Hurricanes seem to be lacking is their defense. They have not seemed to be able to close the gaps. They seem to allow Boston to play to their game. Carolina has seemed to have lost their depth, it seems. It's a really tough series for Carolina to bounce back out of. I already see this series being over fairly soon, in 5, I think. I think the Boston Bruins are like a locomotive that once that steam engine gets going here, it's impossible to stop. And there's just so much behind this train right now. It's very very reminiscent of the 2011 winning team. Boston Bruins have come close in the past year as well. In 2012, 2013, they lost in the finals, but they've been able to hold on to, I think, a very key 5 players in their lineup over those years, and that's been Bergeron, Chara, Krejci, Marchand, and Tuukka Rask, right? And they had a real chance, I think. And before the show started, I thought I was going to call them a dynasty team, but I've taken that thought back, even though I think they've come really close to it, and some might debate it because they have been a very strong team. There was a couple years in a row where they didn't make the playoffs at all in this time between them winning the Stanley Cup and now. But overall, they've always been a very competitive team, and they seem to now have utilized their picks very well and brought up some very, very key talent for their team. There's a lot of good guys on that team right now that really stand out for me. I think one of the guys that I'm most surprised at when I've watched some Boston Bruin games is Grzelcyk. I think that's how you say it anyway. He's not your typical finesse player. He's a very north and south kind of guy. He has some moves in his repertoire, but he just seems to find himself in the right place at the right time for that team. He's definitely a kid that they've got there. He's 25 now, but he's really developed well, and I think is going to be a great piece for the Boston Bruins in the years to come here, unfortunately. And Marcus Johansson is looked like a great pickup, for their playoff run here. Who is the other guy they picked up? Gosh, can't remember his name right now. I'll get it here. Anyway, Charlie Coyle. Charlie Coyle is having an amazing playoffs run right now. I'm looking at the stats right now, and I'm blown away by this. Actually, that I didn't even know it was this high. But Charlie Coyle has 12 points in 15 games. I guess I kind of do see it. He's not really that standout guy you think about. When you think about the Boston Bruins in the playoffs right now, you're really thinking about Marchand and Pasternak and Bergeron, right? I mean, it wasn't supposed to be that they were supposed to be a depth scoring team, but that's what the Boston Bruins have done, and that's why they've had this success right now. This is exactly how a Stanley Cup team is built. And when you look at the way this team is played, it's remarkable how many guys have produced points for them right now. I think I heard an interesting fact today, and I'm just kind of scrolling through checking, and I think that the Boston Bruins, you can only dress 18 skaters, and I believe this is how it goes, and they have 19 players with points in the playoffs here. I mean, that's just amazing to think about. That's the type of team that's built to win the Stanley Cup. And it really, really hurts me to say it. People have no clue how much that hurts me to say it. But I do give a good team the credit they deserve right now. Fortunately, unfortunately, whatever. But this is the type of team that's built to win a cup. And I'd be very shocked to see Carolina come back in this series, and pull off an upset. But it would also be very fun to watch. But I think that the Boston Bruins have ultimately wrapped up this series already. And they're just a very smart team led by Zdeno Chara, who's a 40-year-old who plays better hockey than some 20 to 30-year-olds do in the NHL. And he continues to do it. And after this year's done, he's a free agent, and I no doubtly expect him to re-sign with the Boston Bruins and continue playing. Even if he won a cup, I'd be shocked if Zdeno Chara hung up the skates. So, enough talking about Boston. I am now joined again by my wife. I didn't even think she was going to make it back down, as I said earlier. But here she is, only 13 minutes into the show, and she's back. Okay, so I just want to quickly talk about Columbus and what I think their off-season needs to be. And it will be very interesting to see how they approach this off-season. Their GM, Jarmo Jekalainen, will have a great job ahead of him as to whether he's going to keep Panarin, keep Bobrovsky, keep Duchesne. They also brought in Dzingel. So he's got some names to re-sign. And I know that they're up against the cap as well. So that's another thing that's going to drive them to doing some crazy moves, and we kind of talked about them last show as well. So I won't talk too much about this anymore. But it'll be a very interesting offseason for the Columbus Blue Jackets and what they're going to do. I still think that they have a great team ahead of them, and I like that they're led by Dubois, no doubtably, in the future. And I think he's a great Canadian kid who will do very well in the future and for the Columbus Blue Jackets. There. So we go, and the other Game 7 we had was the St. Louis Blues and the Dallas Stars. That was one heck of a game to watch. This one, I tuned in to definitely watch the whole thing of this. And St. Louis Blues dominated that game from the puck drop to the end. Ben Bishop was fantastic for the Dallas Stars in that series. I had to go to Cap Friendly because I was interested on what Dallas Stars' future holds for them and what kind of cap room they have. And right now, the Dallas Stars are very close to their maximum. There's nothing there. However, after this year, Jason Spezza is off their books. That's $7.5 million. Cha-ching! They also just acquired Matt Zuccarello from the New York Rangers, who fit in very well for them in the playoffs, and I am sure that they will try to re-sign him. That $7.5 million may very well be the ticket that Matt Zuccarello needs to stick around on this team for the next 6 to 7 possible years. They don't really have anything else to re-sign in their way. Nobody else really jumps off the board. Ben Lovejoy, who's a good defenseman for them, he's an older guy, but he's definitely a shutdown guy. He's in UFA after this year. They could definitely re-sign him for what he got this year, which is around $2.6 million. Roman Polak, who's a great defenseman, I think. And, he's only 33, so if Lovejoy can find a job again next year, I know that Roman Polak will as well. And he comes at a super good cheap price of $1.3 million. Whether they want to re-sign him or not, that's a tough one. I know they have a lot of youth coming up, but I also think that Roman Polak is a great shutdown defenseman. And if you can get him for another $1.5 million next year, and I think he deserves it, to stick around on a team for more than a year at a time. Dallas Stars, just cough up, give my boy Roman Polak $1.5 million and keep him on your team. You won't regret it. Other than that, they look really good. Ben Bishop is locked up at $4.9 million until 22-23, which is a complete steal for Dallas Stars as long as Ben Bishop can keep doing that. And stay healthy, which I think is something that he has also struggled with in the past. So I'm hoping the best for them, and I think that they made a great acquisition with Zuccarello. I think he is really going to help that team out next year, and we will see them in the playoffs again next year. Jason Spezza could come back as well, but he might resign for obviously a lot less, sitting at 35. But Dallas Stars might use that and test the UFA market, maybe to try to fill that need on the third line with something maybe a little younger or youthful, or maybe bring a little more body presence to their ice. Whatever they choose, they'll definitely have a bit of cap space to float around with. Oh, plus it's supposed to go up about $4 million. So when you think about it, Dallas Stars could have about $5-6 million to play with on top of after signing Zuccarello. Good future going for him. So the St. Louis Blues are moving on to the Western Conference Finals against the St. Louis. St. Louis Blues are not facing the St. Louis Sharks. They're facing the San Jose Sharks. Right, hon? She nods in approval. This has been an exciting series to watch, and as I speak, Game 2 is going on, and St. Louis is up 3-2, which has been a pretty crazy game to watch. Now I can say it, I was calling shutout for Bennington in this game prior to it. I was saying 2-0 St. Louis shutout. And it was looking that way until Logan Couture got a shorthanded goal on a breakaway, which I think Bennington should have saved. If the people who are listening is watching the game, I think Bennington let a weak one go. He got caught watching the body and not the puck. He didn't get back to the post and didn't get that pad out enough. But other than that, Bennington's been really solid. I think the second goal was Logan Couture again, and I didn't quite see it as much, but I think Bennington's been a lot better in this game than he was in first, which was I just knew he was going to do. This is going to be a very close series against St. Louis and the Sharks. I think this one's definitely going the full 7. I think it's going to be St. Louis that wins this in 7. The St. Louis Blues and San Jose Sharks, they both deserve to be here. Logan Couture has been a hit for the San Jose Sharks this postseason. He's been absolutely unbelievable. I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, but I always thought Logan Couture up until last year was kind of an inconsistent player at times, and really needed to work on that to take himself to the level he should be at. I didn't think that he was even fit sometimes for second line duties, and thought of him more as a third line guy. In fact, I think back in the day he played on the third line for a while. But in the last 2 years, Logan Couture has really developed, and now in his prime, I think right around 29 now, he's just going into his prime. And I think Logan Couture had another 2 goals tonight. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he had a goal or 2 in the first game. He's been crazy good. He is definitely my pick to be the MVP of the San Jose Sharks right now. Just been unbelievable. My question to San Jose Shark fans is, do you believe that Martin Jones can continue to be the goalie that he was and is being so far in the playoffs? Ever since the first round, when they were down 3-1 to Vegas, he's played very well for them and has held them in games many times. And he led them back to beat Vegas. Martin Jones, I think, played well in the series against Colorado, who I thought he pulled them out of several games. If you look back at the tail, you look back at the scores of the games, it doesn't necessarily tell you exactly what happened. But I think that Martin Jones at times was the difference maker there as well. Here's where, against St. Louis, I think that this is where St. Louis gets the edge for me, is in the goaltending position. I think that Bennington can be better than what he has done in Game 1. And he's proven that tonight again, although after letting that soft one against Couture, I think the other one wasn't so much his fault. But I think if Bennington can return to his form, just relax, I think maybe a bit jittery still. He is a rookie, okay? Even though he doesn't look like one when he's playing at times, he is a rookie, okay? But I think that goalie is giving them the edge. He has gave them the edge since December or January when he first made his debut, and has played lights out hockey. We all know it down the stretch. And they really got a great chance with Bennington in net. I'm sorry, we're watching the game and it's 2 minutes left, and the St. Louis player somehow blew the wide open net. Who was that? Did you know, Karen? Oh my goodness. Well, the game's already 4-2, mind you. Maybe he meant to do it on purpose. Wow, 4-2 St. Louis. Look at that. Time's just flying by in this game. So I had picked St. Louis to win game 2. And like I said, I thought it would be 2-0 because I thought Bennington would be lights out. And now, other than that one goal, I think he's been very, very good throughout this game. So, St. Louis wins this series in 7. That's my prediction from the West. We're going, and I'll just quickly tell you from the East, in case you've forgotten, that I have picked the Boston Bruins in 5. Okay, I'm saying 6 because I think that maybe Carolina goes back home and they play very well there. I'm definitely giving them game 3, but game 4 is going to be dicey. Like I said, the Boston Bruins have really got their motor running, and it's going to be tough to stop them, even in Carolina. But Carolina fans, bring it, support your team, and cheer them to victories. I know you guys can probably really get behind them and help them win 2 games. And let's see a comeback. I'd love to see a game 7. I'd rather see Carolina and St. Louis or San Jose in the finals. So, there. As a prediction as to I'm going to win it, well, I don't know. I'll keep that one for a little bit longer. But I think that's all we got for today. Karen, who do you think, please? Who do you think's winning out of the Carolina-Boston series?
Carolina.
And who do you think is winning out of the St. Louis-San Jose series?
St. Louis for sure.
Okay, there you have it. We got our predictions here met today. So much thanks for joining me. I don't think I said this, but thanks for tuning in to the Neutral Zone. Where were my manners? I was just so excited to be by myself and try to do this all onesies that I forgot to say hello from the Neutral Zone. So I'm saying it now. Hello from the Neutral Zone. And you can follow along if you liked anything that you heard whatsoever. If you liked anything whatsoever, you've got to go follow along on Twitter at the Neutral Zone CDN or something like that. And Facebook. Facebook, you can probably search us up under the Neutral Zone as well. We like to post things we love from around the NHL on there from random time to time. And we also like to post when we've put out a new podcast. Next week, we will be rejoined by Brad. And we'll have another good episode for you guys as we get deeper into these playoffs. So you guys just keep watching hockey and I'll keep listening too. Have a good night. Peace.